Good afternoon and welcome to Coniston, which is in the Lake District. My name is Matt and this is my homage to all the guys that have ever put out on YouTube a information video regarding hammock camping. I would like to make special thanks to Shug, really Big Monkey One, who is one of the most entertaining guys out there on YouTube. You should watch him if you've never come across him before. Log on, watch his videos. He's brilliant. Shug's brilliant too. I've got the K-Dog Crazy that I watch. I've got the Sarge. He's brilliant. What a genuine guy the Sarge is. Really like watching his videos. There are so many, far too many for me to mention, because I watch these guys all the time. And you fellas that put this information out there, I'd like to thank you so much for doing it, because 2 years ago, I never slept in a hammock. And I came across some videos and I just watched them and I thought, actually, you know what? That might be a good idea. So I gave it a go and I've never gone back since. I've learned more and more about it. The key to remember about hammock camping is that you are always learning. Never assume that you know everything there is to know about hammock camping, because that ain't the case. You always get caught out. I know about wind direction. I know that you should make sure that the wind goes across your camp, but the wind changes, doesn't it? Like it has done to me. So I'm now getting covered in ash. So you may see ash all over my kit and it's a bleeding pain in the ass. But there you go. My kit is set up and I'm not moving it now. One of the things I'm going to say though, kit. You can go cheap, you can go expensive. Is one any better than the other? Yeah, usually. Sod's law, isn't it? The more you pay for it, usually the better it is. That's sod's law. But I am going to point out particularly this saw. Now then, the Barrel 21 saw. An awful lot of money. Am I glad I bought it? Yeah, I am, yeah. It took me some time to decide whether I was going to get it or not, but it does fold up really well. I didn't get the other bag for it because I didn't feel it was necessary to get the other bag, and it does process timber perfectly. Now, a £6 bow saw will also do exactly the same job, but it doesn't fold away. Can I justify the money I spent on that saw and say it is good and I'm glad I've bought it? Yes, I'm going to say yeah on that, because I can process that amount of timber in less than an hour. There's a lot of it gone because I've burnt it. Am I cooking on that fire? No, I'm not cooking on it today. You know, as you walk around, you'll see my little cooker and everything else I've got going. But I like to have a fire. The sun's going to go down later, and I like to make sure that I've got my TV on, and those who like fires will fully understand what I've just said. And enough about that. Let's get on to what I've got in front of me. Right, I have a DD Tarp. It's the 4.5 meter long by 3 meter wide tarp. It is a good bit of kit. It is rather heavy to hump around with you, and in extreme weather it is a bit of a sell when set up like this. Hence last night me codging together any by hook or crook to keep the wind from blowing in onto me. It is a large area, and the weather did catch me out a little bit, so I did have to make some makeshift adjustments last night to try and keep that wind off me and try and keep the rain away from me. It did rain a lot. Now you will also notice that it is a little bit untidy in places like that. Definitely that should be there, but it isn't. Okay, I'll accept that. It's tarps aren't technical. Hammock hanging is technical. Tarps ain't. String, corners, keep the rain off you, and that does achieve that aim. So that's really all I'm going to say about that. Let's move on to the hammock. Now then, this is a UK hammocks woodsman expedition. What do I think of it? I've got 5 hammocks, At this moment in time, this is not the most comfortable hammock. And the reason I say that is not because there's anything wrong with it, it's because I'm still learning how to use it. This type of hammock you just don't get in. You have to learn how to adjust, adapt, and get it right for yourself. And it takes time. And I'm going to be fair, although there are massive manufacturing issues with DD Frontline XL with the hoops, there was a lot of manufacturing problems. I had to restitch things and do a lot of things, but it is still the most comfortable I have had yet. This will take precedence over that when I figured out how to use it properly, and that is a learning process, and I am still learning, and so so please don't think I'm slagging it off. I ain't slagging it off. It's a well-made piece of kit, but I'm learning how to use it. It's not the best night's sleep yet. Hopefully in future I will change that opinion. My suspension system, we'll look in more depth inside in a minute, but I want to look at the suspension system because the eagle-eyed will already notice that's not what it comes with. Now, that's fair enough. I didn't like what it came with. I'm not a strap person, I'm not a strap fan. I've tried them before, over the last 2 years. I've had Dutch cinch clips. I've used them with their straps and titanium hooks at the other end, on the tree hugger end, and you know what? Them cinch clips kept, or cinch buckles even, kept slipping, kept fraying the straps, and I didn't trust it. Sometimes I'll be just sat in it, and I'll just all of a sudden slip down to the ground. That's not good. That has never happened with me in a whoopee sling. So I made these whoopee slings. This is 1/8 Amstel, and I know I can hear you screaming at me now. 1/8 is overkill. Yeah, it is overkill. It is. I know it is. But it's my ass in there, not yours. And that gives me peace of mind. And if it takes a little bit of string to give me peace of mind, that's cool with me. So please, don't tell me it's overkill. I know, but I'm happy with it. Whoopee slings are really, in my opinion, a better system. Now, for the UK, we're not going -50. We're not going jungle, so we don't need to worry about these fraying on the inside, as Matt says on one of his expedition that he went on. They noticed that they were delaminating on the inside. I get that, I understand that, but I'm not in that situation, nor am I likely to be in that situation. I'm not going to go down to Shug Emery's -40 degrees. -40 degrees centigrade is also -degrees Fahrenheit as well. I think that's when they equal out at the same. You can quote me on that if you wish, and if I'm wrong, I apologise. But he's been down there, and he changes to straps in the winter. I'm not going to go straps anymore. Whoopee slings does it for me. Yeah, I've got a Marlin spike on this one. We've got quite a distance between the trees. That's probably a good 5, maybe 6 meters between the two trees, and I can cope with that with my whoopee slings and my Marlin spikes and my DD tree huggers, the extra wider ones, just because I like to be nice and comfortable and sleep well. Why am I a fan of whoopies? Well, they have their own built-in drip rings, like that. Also, I got rid of the standard, or the stock that came with the hammock. It came with, it wasn't Amstel. Maybe Zing it, something like that. Well, I'm not quite sure what they used originally, but I made some continuous loops and put these single ring on, which I use as a drip ring, and I also use as my last line of defense this cordage here. Now, if you know anything about hammocks, and trust me, I'm learning, I also know that the minute that goes off vertical, it becomes unusable. It doesn't work. The water just transfers straight across and continues onto your hammock. It's got to get past that first. If it gets past that, because it twists, and they do twist, they do, and then, but that, it never gets past that. That little bit of string has always defeated the elements so far. So I'm quite pleased with that. Again, a tip from one of you guys. Let's take a closer look at the hammock. Okay, extra large storage compartment, perfectly okay. Nothing much to say about that really. The hammock comes with these little clips. You can detach them. Basically, it's another version of that. You can detach them and do whatever you want with it. I've not honestly found a use for those yet. I'm sure I may, but I've not yet. On the video, when you go to purchase one of these, you will notice Matt stuff his mozzie net in a little stuff sack at the end of the hammock. Now, this isn't big enough to put it in, obviously, because it's only a little tiny one. It's only actually for your footbox cord. Oh, and a point to note as well, I did actually have to change out this shock cord because the shock cord that was on it was too thick. And every single time I got in the hammock, that would unclip itself. And ping, off it would go. And it was a little bit annoying. So I changed that for some thinner and longer. That's still an adjustable knot, so I can still adjust it, but for whatever reason now, it doesn't unclip itself. I can pull that and it doesn't unclip, so it's much better. And that goes into that little bag. Now, I am only assuming that Matt has anticipated the fact that an extra little mozzie bag, a net for your mozzie net, is, you know, it's not really required. So if I'm not using the mosquito net, you stuff it in there. I presume that's what Matt expected us to do, but anyhow, it's not there. That's what I've got. It also never came with any zip pulls, which I was very surprised at. I thought that would have come, so I've had to buy them separately. I was surprised at that, really, but there you go. I've got them on. Other modifications I've made to the hammock will be trying to get this DD to fit perfectly. I created these loops to attachment points. Failed miserably. But I did put, bloody ash everywhere, I did put this one on. Now, you're not supposed to peg these out anymore. The reason being is that when you lie in the hammock, it forms and creates the shape of the hammock and then gives you your internal space. So you lying in the hammock creates the spread and keeps the mosquito net off your face. Yes, it does, and it works perfectly fine, and I like that. But for zipping up and unzipping, it can be a bit of a pain in the butt. So I looked at the war bonnet, and I noticed that they had a suspension system like that, and I'm not really interested about pegging it out onto a hard board. Why the fuck would you want to do that? Excuse my language. But, you know, but for that, it helps, really, with zipping it up. Now, watch this fail miserably. It did fail miserably straight away, caught into that bag. But it does actually make it easier to zip yourself in and out. And I found that quite difficult without it. But hey. Another modification that I've done since is these bags here. They have a special name, these bags, and they're really good. One I actually put a water bottle in, which Matt shows on, but I do put water bottle in it. This one here. This one here, I do put water bottle, but you can put anything in there. It's good storage. And this is, you put your jacket in, and you do use it as your pillow. I really don't use a pillow in the hammock at all. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't need one. I feel like I don't need one. And as I'm not on an expedition, and the long-term thing, I don't really use these bags. But they are perfectly fine, and I love the material. I don't know what material that is they're made of, but it's really nice. So, to avoid them doing this every 2 minutes, which is good because it doesn't fall on the floor, I just put in a little tiny stuff sack. And what I do is just put those in there. And it just tidies it up a little bit. It's not a criticism. I'm just saying that for me, I'd much rather have them tucked in that little bag out the way. Obviously, I can't do it now because I'm one-handed. This is expertly positioned. It really works well. Phone, knife in there. This is just standard. It's perfectly okay. I have no issues with that. But I'm going to go on to my sleeping bag, which is now covered in ash because of the fire and wind direction keeps changing. Right, this is a DD Dura 2 sleeping bag. Now then, is it okay? Yeah, I think it's alright. It's you can see on the bottom there's a bit of mud where I get out of it and do what I got to do, go for a wee at night. You know, one thing I've found about sleeping in hammocks, I piss a lot more. I don't know why. It just seems to be the case. I never get up at home, but when I go hammock camping, I seem to get up a lot. Anyhow, right. One thing I don't like about this sleeping bag is this bleeding zipper undoes here. Why does it do that? Why does that zipper undo there? There's absolutely no reason for it to do that. And in the middle of the night, getting out of your hammock, and you unzip your sleeping bag, and it drops down to that, it drives you bleeding mad trying to zip it back in again. So to prevent that happening again, I stopped that with a few stitches there. And now the zip doesn't go all the way down anymore, but it also doesn't undo itself, so I can zip it back up at any time. It also gives me a little bit extra 100mm for the foot box, because I don't always use it as a sleeping bag. I use it as an overquilt, you know, a top quilt. I just throw it over the top and put my feet in the foot box like you would do with an overquilt. But the sleeping bag itself, what can I say? It's a 60 quid. What did I pay for it? 60 quid was it? It's a budget sleeping bag. You're not going to get a lot for your money, are you? I have not really been cold in it, but I do make sure I got plenty of clothes on in it. I wouldn't want to sleep just in it in my birthday suit. Definitely not. It is imitating a military sleeping bag with these internal pouches, but again, I don't really use those. It's okay. It's okay. That's all I'm going to say. What have I been down to? -1 in that. -1, maybe -2 at most. That's centigrade. And I've been okay in it. However, I do have a DD under blanket. Now, with the Frontline and the Frontline XL. Ooh, that's easy to zip up. I wonder why that is. With the Frontline XL and the Frontline DD Frontline, that underquilt works perfectly fine. Now, before I bought that, I had a poncho liner turned into an underquilt, courtesy of K-Dog Crazy. Now, it's called a pluck, and it worked perfectly fine, but not on this hammock, and neither does this underquilt. I do have another one coming, but I am getting cold spots, and it isn't fitting properly, and it isn't working for me. Also, I've had to change the suspension system on this underquilt from DD because every single corner frayed at this point here, where for some reason or other they stitched straight through the elastic. How did I get around that? Well, I created, you can see my knot, you can see one knot, and I've also got another knot in there. Not really sure why I put that one there. I think I wasn't quite thinking correctly. Anyhow, what I also did after that was create a much tighter weave around the shock cord as opposed to through the shock cord. So I've got a bit of slippage either way, and that knot doesn't pull through my corded, my stitching, so it keeps it nice and tight. So again, is a budget item. It failed. I refixed it, I restitched it, and resewed it. It works perfect with its intended equipment, but doesn't really fit this hammock very well at all. So I look forward to when my other one arrives. Overall, I used to be a ground dweller 2 years ago. I slept in a hammock. I've never gone back since. In fact, since then, I've never slept on the ground. I don't go anywhere where I'm going to end up sleeping on the ground. So I make sure I go where there's trees and I can hang. Where I am now, I'm perfectly allowed to do whatever I want to do in these woods because the farmer gives me permission to do it. But again, I so thank everybody who took the time to make videos to teach me how to do things. Now, you may disagree with what you've seen, and you may argue with some of the points that I've said. That's perfectly okay. Please don't send me snotograms. If you want to send a snotogram, I'm not really interested, but I'll have a conversation with you any time of the day. I do enjoy it. It's allowed me to see the world in a different light, and yeah, I've had a great learning curve, and I've enjoyed learning how to sleep in hammock. One of the now, my history, I have spent practically all of my life in the Queen's uniform, and since leaving I have forgotten how to look after my spoon. And all the way through this video you would have seen this titanium spoon. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, apart from my Dutch clip, this is the only other titanium item I have, which is counteracted by the fact that I've actually put a clip on it. So it makes no difference whatsoever what it's made out of. It might as well be a racing spoon. Now, the reason it's hung there is because I've forgotten how to look after my stuff, and I keep losing my spoon. So if I hang it up, I don't lose it anymore, and I've not lost this one since. See, it's waving at you. So anyhow, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for all your efforts that you've put in. This was a homage to all of you. This was a thank you to all of you, and keep up your good work. I am getting there. I am learning. I am new to this, but without your assistance, without your information, and without your input, I would still be on the ground in a tent. So thank you, all of you, and a big shout out to you guys as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Just a couple hours on, and the heavens have opened up on us. It has actually just eased off a little bit, but I just want to point out a couple of things that I mentioned earlier. I just want you to note that the drip ring there is no longer hanging vertical, and I'm just sat in the hammock. It's twisted the minute I sat in it. So I am pretty much reliant on my first and last defence. The drip ring itself is no longer effective. Also, this side has remained okay. So this is still in situ. And that is the way it goes when you're on a single cord. It can happen, which is why you do need that secondary defence. Now, I would just also like to point out the fact that you may see a carabiner at the end of my tarp. I don't put carabiners at the end of my tarps to guy off. I just don't do that. Those are there because I'm using the Marlin spike on my hanging system, and I usually use a carabiner, but in this scenario I didn't need the carabiner, so I just clipped it to the end of the tarp, and I dragged it down. So I've got one guy line going off in that direction, and I've got another one pulling it down to the ground to give me now this A-frame type formation. Now, it is quite close, and you can, I don't know if you can see, but the rain is falling about 2 feet from my edge of the hammock now, but that's adequate because there's not a strong wind. This suited me last night, and it will suit me again tonight. But if there was a really strong wind, this would not be suitable at all. I would definitely need to have a centre A-frame and buckle down a lot more than this. But it is perfectly fine. Yeah, my fire is still going. I'll probably keep that going for another couple hours of what I got there. I want it to get dark. I want my TV to go so I can stare into the fire aimlessly and contemplate life as we do. There are mistakes that we make doing these little videos. I don't have any editing software, so this is take 2. Take 1 was the first section. Somehow I would have bonded this together so you'd have seen the entire thing. So I make mistakes. I say things wrong. I correct myself, and I make mistakes. I do all the time. But the videos that I do watch, the videos of the people that openly make mistakes and keep them in their editing cuts, I admire for that, because it's just human, isn't it? It's what we are. Those guys that take the video, hone it, prepare a video which is expertly done, and some of them they are really good, but you can tell they're edited and cut to look professional, but you know things have gone wrong. This sort of thing is about being out and about, real time, no messing, no bullshit. It is what it is, and if you get it wrong, things go wrong. So if you do make a mistake, or you do something which affects you or other people, then let them know. There's some of my I am fans of some of the biggest honest people on YouTube. The more honest they are, and the more I watch the videos, the more commercialized they get, the more I switch off. I'm not into commercialization or whatever. Just be honest. I'll be honest with you chaps. You just be honest with me when you do your videos, and I know you have been. So anyhow, hopefully I'll try and get my drip ring system in shot later on before it gets too dark, and maybe do a take 3 of this weekend. So that'll be interesting. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? Anyhow, guys, thanks very much, and maybe see you later. Okay, the daylight is gonna go within the next 2 or 3 hours, but it could be that I may just end the day on a high. I think this rain is going to stop. I think the clear skies are going to clear even, and give me a fantastic evening, which was, I really love that, because the day started crystal clear. I could see all the way to Skiddaw when I went on top this morning, and I'm just going to pan back and look at the shape of my tarp, even though some of you may disagree, but the way I've set it up, you can't disagree that I am protected. And you can see quite clearly I am protected, although maybe things aren't quite lined up what they should be. But let's just hope that breaks through and gives me a wonderful end to the day. Monster. That's how to have a fire in the pissing rain. That's what it's all about. Fuck you, Mother Nature. I win tonight. Okay. Weekend's over for me now. Go home, unpack my kit, wash up, whatever I'm going to do. Admin. Well, I just want to show you this. This is my playground. What do you think? That's Coniston Old Man in the clouds. Nobody up there yet. You can only see people tab up there from here. Over to the left is Dow Crags. If you ever come up here to this area, I recommend doing the Dow Crag round horseshoe into and up to Coniston and back into the town for some beers. This is my playground, and this is why I come all the way to the Lake District from sunny Blackpool area to here. I'm very fortunate to know the farmer, and I'm very fortunate to get to play up here. In front of you, in the middle there, is Coniston town. Here's Coniston Lake. There she is, all the way around. The wood line just coming up in front of us here, about 100 metres away, 150 metres away. That's where I was last night. And I walk up onto this bank, and as we pan round, that's out over towards Ulverston. I can see them, you can't see them. There's a wind farm in the sea out in front of Bowness. I can see them. We pan round again. Back over to Dow Crags. So, if you want to know, oh, hi, how are you doing? If you want to know why I come here, does that answer your question? How beautiful is that? I cannot see anyone else out and about, just me this morning. Isn't that fantastic? Well, that's my first video for YouTube. I'll probably take it in 3, maybe 4 takes very little editing is going to be done. I don't even have editing software, so I hope it was watchable, not too jerky. It is done by a phone. So thanks for watching, and please leave a comment. Thanks very much.